Hey guys, this is JayyJammer. Welcome to a different kind of video today. Something I'm very, very excited about. As you can see by the title of the video, it is called a Final Fantasy Talk with. And I have a guest with me today, a very, very special friend who I've been very, very excited to do something with. I know we're both very busy when it comes to YouTube stuff. But with me today, I have Mage Masher 22. Mage, say hi.
Hello, I'm glad one of us is excited for this.
I'm
kidding.
Yes.
I'm kidding.
He likes Final Fantasy. Did you not know? Come on now.
I'm quite a big fan, I suppose.
Yeah, he dabbles in it.
I've played a few of them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm really excited about this actually. It's nice to be able to get to hang out with Mage, and you know, whenever I'm asking him questions, it's always like through a stream and stuff like that, and it's kind of hard because he's obviously trying to concentrate on what he's doing. So it's nice to just have a sit down, talk about
one-to-one kind of thing.
Yeah, talk about one of, if not the greatest JRPG franchises going, in my opinion. It's 35 years old.
Key thing, opinion. We have opinions. We will share opinions. We are not stating them as fact, although Final Fantasy IX is the best one.
Yes.
Don't at me, or you can. I will ignore you.
Again, it's an opinion. Don't forget that.
Exactly.
So, oh man, there's a bunch of questions I want to dive into. And again, Mage, this isn't just this isn't an interview, if you will. Please feel free to ask me any questions about Final Fantasy and what we're talking about today.
Yeah. What's your favorite one?
It's not Final Fantasy IX. I'm sorry.
No, I know which one it is. I'm just
yeah. Well, we'll get to that. We'll get to that.
We will get to that.
So, just for anybody who doesn't know Mage and is new to the channel or is seeing this video for the first time, Mage, do you want to just kind of go over what you do on your channel and what kind of games you play?
Yeah, I play a lot of different games. I talk bollocks, and yeah, I'd say JRPGs in particular are my favorite genre. I love Final Fantasy, Dragon Quest, all that kind of thing.
Oh, yes.
But I am definitely a variety YouTuber. I don't stick to one particular game series or genre. I play all sorts.
Yeah, so kind of
mostly Let's Plays and playthroughs.
Yeah,
I do. So
I'll definitely be linking Mage's playthrough, Mage's channel at the end of this video. So please go and check him out. He's doing a lot of cool stuff right now. He's doing a lot right now.
Too much right now. Way too much.
What have we got? We got Tales of Arise going on. We've got Chrono Cross.
Tales of Arise. Final Fantasy V.
Yes.
Elden Ring. It's that small game that's just not going to take forever to beat.
Not like open world game.
Max Payne.
Yes. Which you just started.
Which I have just, I've finished it now, so that's not really too big of a deal. But and then Chrono Cross. So
yes.
Yeah, quite a lot.
So if any of those tickle your pickle, go check them out because they're fantastic.
Please do. Please check my videos out. But also make sure you are absolutely watching Jay's, because Jay, you're quite busy yourself.
I am. I'm just as bad as you, Mage. I think that's where it comes from. I'm currently doing Final Fantasy VII, the original. Excuse me.
What game's that? Sorry, I've never heard of that one.
Yeah, like I say, we'll get to that. I'm doing Horizon Zero Dawn, which I'm having a ton of fun with. Completely blind, never played it before.
Fantastic game. Yeah.
I am doing Pokemon Yellow as well, which I haven't played for 18 years, so that's fun to revisit and just go through.
I've been watching that actually. It's nice seeing someone who isn't a complete master of Pokemon go through it and rediscover it. I've very much enjoyed that series.
Yeah, because I was talking to the British Eagle about it the other day, and he said it's nice to see someone who's not so familiar with Pokemon just play at a slower pace and just take their time with it. So he said it's quite refreshing for him.
Yeah, not someone that knows that it's like 96 steps from Viridian Forest to the Pokemon Center or whatever.
And I just started with my girlfriend Kristen. I started a blind playthrough of Stardew Valley, which we're playing together, which is a lot of fun.
Oh, another fantastic game.
Yeah, I've never played Stardew.
I am a huge fan of Stardew. It's a game that I didn't think I would like, but I ended up absolutely falling in love with it. Yeah. So I hope you're enjoying that as well.
It's very, very enjoyable. So yeah, that's a little bit about us. again, go check out Mage. Please subscribe. This guy's awesome. Help him out. You know,
You are too kind, sir.
anything helps. Like he says, liking the video, commenting, sharing, all of that stuff helps out the channel. So
You can buy me a house if you want to buy me a house.
yeah, get my car.
Do
you know,
that. I mean, that would help a lot, actually. But, you know, no pressure.
no pressure,
Just,
guys.
You know, please do.
Right, so let's dive into some Final Fantasy goodness. So I have 3 questions for you to start with, Mage, all which you can answer, I guess, in one answer.
Okay.
I want to know from you what your first Final Fantasy was, how old you were, and what was it about that Final Fantasy that made you go, yes, I need to play more of this. I need to play more in the series of this game.
Okay, so I was 10 years old,
Yeah.
and it was Final Fantasy X. Final Fantasy X
Whoa.
was my first one, and what really grabbed me about it was how fucking weird it was. I
Right.
had no idea what was going on. As many of you will know, the intro to that game is quite out there.
Yes.
I had never seen anything like it, and I was just intrigued. I needed to find out what the hell this world was, what was going on, and it helped that it kind of did play like Pokemon, which was a series, the only other RPG series that I'd ever played. So, you know, turn-based, I could kind of get to grips with it pretty quickly. And yeah, I was just like, wow, I can't believe I'm only just finding this series.
Right.
You know, even though I was still quite young, you know, obviously it was the 10th one, so I felt like, wow, I've missed out on a lot.
Yeah, absolutely. So you didn't know anything about Final Fantasy prior
I
to...
knew nothing about it. A friend of mine had been playing Final Fantasy X. It was also his first one.
Right.
He had been playing it before me, and he had been talking about it in school. And
Okay.
he just wouldn't shut up about it. And he was saying, you know, you really should give it a try. And since it was my birthday coming up, I went to Toys R Us and I bought it. And
Yeah.
the rest is history.
Ah, that's so cool. I see stories like this I love because for anybody that doesn't know, me and Mage were actually born in the same year. I think Mage...
Yeah, although looking at us, you wouldn't think that.
right.
I look like I was born in like 1925.
So I think Mage is, what, 3 months older than me. My birthday's coming up soon. It's in June. So the cool thing about this, and the reason I wanted to get Mage on, is because I don't know about you, Mage, but I relate to you quite a lot in terms of being around...
It relates to me too.
Yeah, being around that same age and growing up in the 90s, which, let's be honest, if you're a 90s baby, what a generation to grow up in.
Oh, it was a great time. It was a great time.
Just for everything, you know, TV shows, movies, games, there's just, the 90s was
Yeah, I
great.
mean, obviously we are biased, but
Of course.
the 90s kicked a lot of ass.
And what I love about you, Mage, is a lot of, you know, through the years of knowing you, a lot of the stories that you've told, I'm like, holy shit, yeah, I relate to that. Like, that happened in my household. Like,
Yeah.
for so many things, you know, like when you were talking about, you know, you and your family, like Tomb Raider was your family game, right, at home.
It was, yeah.
And it's like,
that
holy
was
crap.
a huge part of growing up for me.
Yeah. And it's the same thing for me at home. Like, you know, my mum used to love watching my dad play video games. Like, it was her favorite thing to do.
Yeah.
So there was a lot of that going on at home as well. So Final Fantasy...
It's a great family, you know, pastime, and I think probably why watching Let's Plays and things on YouTube has become so big, because it is just something we've all kind of done before the internet anyway.
Yeah,
So,
of course. And I think, well, I mean, so I've probably been around on your channel now for about, I'm going to say about 6 years, maybe coming up 7.
okay.
Unfortunately, I wasn't
So-
there from the very beginning because I kind
I
of...
mean, that's still quite a while. That's, yeah.
Obviously, I always knew what YouTube... When did YouTube start? It was like 2005, right?
Yeah,
Something
I
like
think
that.
so.
But it took me a while to find out about, oh, hey, people play games on YouTube. That's a thing. Like, it took me a long time to realize that, yeah, that's a thing. People do that. So when I found out, instantly when I was like, right, okay, cool, people play games on YouTube. Right, what's the first game that I should search and see what people are playing? Of course it was Final Fantasy. It was going to be.
Yeah.
And of course, at that time, a lot of people by then had been playing Final Fantasy. There were so many Final Fantasy playthroughs. And luckily enough, yourself cropped up very, very quickly.
That's crazy to me. The
Right.
fact that people find me, especially through Final Fantasy in particular, because it means so much to me. That means a lot. That's really cool.
Yeah, it was yeah, and a game called Final Fantasy VII cropped up, and I was like, oh, who's this mage masher?
God, so that was the first one you found me through?
It was. Wow. It was either that or Final
was...
Fantasy VIII. I can't remember. It's one of the two.
Yeah, so I think I did 7 like back in 2015, so that would make sense.
About that time, yeah.
Yeah.
But it's, you know, when I search for, you know, certain Let's Plays, I kind of like, because I like your style. You're just yourself. You're very laid back. You concentrate on the game. You really take it all in, and that's the kind of playthroughs I enjoy personally, in my opinion, guys. Don't forget. So it was refreshing because I was finding a lot of Final Fantasy playthroughs, and I was like, I'd start it and I'd go, oh, I'm not quite enjoying this. You know, the person's a bit over the top. This is not my kind of thing. And of course, finding you, it was like, oh, a breath of fresh air. It was like, oh. And again, you were British. I was like, brilliant, even better.
I am indeed.
But yeah, it was, and I remember, you know, as I was watching you more and more, watching these Final Fantasy playthroughs, I was like, one day, I'm going to be friends with this guy. I need to be friends with this guy, because he's awesome, and like I say, there's so much in common I feel like we have. So,
again, you are very kind, sir. You're very kind.
So yeah, Final Fantasy X. So then, so you played Final Fantasy X, you loved it, you enjoyed it. So now, some of these questions I already do know the answer to, but for anyone watching, of course, I believe you then decided to go back, right? You went back.
I did.
And here is where it gets good, because Mage is now going to tell you about his most favorite Final Fantasy. I think.
Yeah. So after I beat 10, I was obviously very interested in checking out the other games in the series, because up until that point, there hadn't been any other ones after 10. 10 was the newest one.
Yes.
So yeah, I went back and I bought Final Fantasy IX. I to this day I can't remember where I got it. I have no idea. It might have been W.H. Smith's. It might have been Game. I genuinely can't remember, which actually annoys me. But
sorry, Madge, I'm just going to cut you off there quickly.
Go on.
You now that you're talking about Final Fantasy IX, the final battle theme has just started, and it's your playthrough. So how lucky was that?
That's perfect.
So what you're seeing on screen right now is Mage's very first Final Fantasy IX end boss playthrough.
Yeah, many years ago.
Many years ago. So yeah, go ahead, Mage. Sorry, go on. Go.
But yeah, so I got 9, and I was just, oh my god. I mean, for one thing, it was like 4 discs.
Right,
like,
of course, yeah.
Why are there so many discs? I've only I'd seen 2 discs before with like Metal Gear Solid.
Right, yeah.
And Final Fantasy IX was just like, wow, how big is this game?
Yeah.
And while I knew it wasn't going to look as good as Final Fantasy X, being an older game and all that, and on PS1,
yes,
I was blown away by how good it still looked. And
absolutely.
Just the music, you know, the opening cutscene with the sweeping shot of the airship flying over Alexandria, I was just, oh my god. I mean, I was always more of a sucker for like medieval kind of, you know, visuals and stories.
Do you think then that's what separated Final Fantasy X for you from 9? Is that why you think you enjoyed it more?
I think so, and I think just something about it being like an older game as well. I kind of felt more nostalgia for it.
Right, yeah, of course.
You know, because I'd grown up playing a lot of PS1 games.
As did I.
And this was like, even though it only come out like like maybe 2 years before.
Of course, yeah, it would have been, right, yeah.
You know, it's still a very new game. It still felt like going back to simpler times. And again, I was only like 11 or 10, so I don't know why I was being all, oh my god, I'm so old now. Oh, I remember when I was 7 and playing these PS1 games. Those were the days. But no, just the characters, the story, just the intro of that game. I was sucked in. I was on board, whereas 10s took me a while before I was like, oh, okay, I'll know what's going on now. The characters. Final Fantasy IX is very simple. It's very much, you know, kidnap the princess.
Yes.
You know, that's all you need to know. Fine, cool, I'm in. And yeah, just I could talk for hours about Final Fantasy IX, but
Of course. Oh, and that's fine. That's great. I love it. So, Final Fantasy IX for me, I really do enjoy 9. It took me... Oh, it definitely took me a while to beat it. I definitely didn't beat FF9 as a kid. Oh, God, it must have been when I was in my teens that I first beaten Final Fantasy IX. But even so... and again, I'm going to praise you, man. I know you're not going to like it, but I'm going to do it anyway.
Oh, God.
I didn't realise how much of FF9, things to do wise, I'd missed all these years.
All right, okay, yeah.
For instance, I never knew how to get, Zidane's ultimate weapon. I completely missed. Oh my god, I've forgotten the area. It's one that you can only access through the airship. I can't remember the area.
Oh, like the Chocobo Air Garden.
Well, that one, yeah. And do you know where you get Steiner's ultimate weapon from that guy? What's that area called?
The library.
Daguerreo, yeah.
Yeah.
Yep, never knew about that. That was new to me. I was like, what the hell?
I mean, it is a big game. There are a lot of things in it that you could absolutely miss.
Yeah, and I was like, holy crap. And I think just for that pure fact and finding these things through your playthrough, I realised I enjoyed FF9 a lot more. I was like, there's so much I've missed. Like, holy crap.
I mean, that means a lot to me. I really like... My favorite comments are always the ones that are like, oh, you got me into this game, or you made me want to play this again, or, check this out. And yeah, that's really not my ultimate goal, but
it's nice.
It's really nice, yeah.
And again, the same thing, to say again, man, is for me, you got me hooked on Dragon Quest. What can I say?
That's really cool.
I'd never heard of Dragon Quest. Didn't know what it was. Obviously,
yeah, I mean, especially in the West, it's at least in Europe, it was very
not very known.
Yeah, I mean, Dragon Quest VIII was really the first one we got, so
yeah,
it's definitely becoming more popular, but no, I think it's just as good as Final Fantasy, just in different ways.
Absolutely, I can see it, and I can see the similarities as well. Obviously, it's still done by Square Enix, so of course it's going to have that kind of same charm and stuff. But honestly, man, Dragon Quest XI, oh my god,
oh, it's brilliant.
I got sucked into that game. I could just get lost for hours. The art style of that game blew me away, and I was like, why? How have I never heard of Dragon Quest? What? What?
Yeah, I mean, it's just we didn't get them over here
right
until way later.
And I'm thinking, I would have loved this as obviously, Dragon Quest XI's new, so it's. But even so, I think I would have loved this as a kid. Even what year was Dragon Quest VIII? Do you know?
2005, 2006, roughly.
Yeah. See,
2005.
Again, didn't know anything about it. So, again, I have to thank you for
I
that,
was
man.
very lucky to stumble across that as a kid. Because I read a lot of gaming magazines, and there was a review for Dragon Quest VIII, and I was just like, you know what, that looks awesome. And the fact that it was made by Level 5, who had made Dark Chronicle,
yes,
I was instantly interested. So yeah.
Oh, again, if you've never played Dragon Quest, please go check it out. It's if you like Final Fantasy, then you're definitely gonna like Dragon Quest for sure. So yeah, Final Fantasy IX ended up being your favorite.
You did.
You go back. What was your first kind of opinion on Final Fantasy VIII for you?
Final Fantasy VIII, I had a pretty strong liking for the game right from the get-go.
Yes.
It was, I mean, the opening cutscene with the frickin' gunblades going at it,
right,
and the music, I was just like, this is a lot more epic than what I'm used to from the previous two games. And so I was like, okay, it's obviously very different to 9. It's more, not really futuristic, but more like contemporary.
Yeah.
And the fact that it was set in like a school,
right,
I could instantly relate to. And Squall being the way he is,
very angsty teenager.
Yeah, I was going through puberty and all those lovely changes, and I could just relate to him so much.
Yes, this is one thing I do know that you've said in the past, that Squall was very, very relatable at a teenage
for
year.
better or worse. I mean, I'm not saying he's a particularly nice person for a lot of the game, but I could still understand why he was the way he was.
Yeah. So obviously, Final Fantasy VIII has a lot of ups and downs with a lot of, the community. Some people like it. I think over the years, more people have kind of warmed up to Final Fantasy VIII now, more than they have.
Come around to it, I think. It's definitely not as... I mean, you go from Final Fantasy VII to Final Fantasy VIII, and 8... I mean, I do not envy 8 in any way having to follow 7, but they took risks, They completely revamped the progression system, with the junctions, and it's not the most user-friendly.
Right.
It really isn't.
Yeah.
But it's also incredibly deep and rewarding. So, yeah, I have a lot of respect for 8. It's definitely got its issues.
Of course, yeah, like, any other
but
game.
It's one of those games where the issues really don't take away from the overall feeling that game gives me. So I love 8 so much.
And you say you enjoy the junction system? You find it?
I do. I really do. And it's Final Fantasy VIII is one of those games that I really enjoy breaking.
Me and you both, buddy.
I cannot play it legitimately anymore. I have to grind and grind.
Oh,
and
yes.
Just make the game a complete joke.
Giving Squall his penultimate weapon before you even left Balam Garden.
Yeah. I mean, you can just completely ruin the whole game if you really want to.
Yeah.
But that's the way I like playing it, so I like that you can do that.
What would you say, how do you feel about the story of FF8? Because I know a lot of people are like, oh, this doesn't make sense, or by the end of the game, oh, this doesn't make sense, like, what's going on here?
I think it's very ambitious.
Yeah.
I think it's very ambitious. I like the overall plot.
Yeah.
And I like certain, especially I'd say the first half of the game, the story is fantastic. It's gripping. I was fully on board. There's just, towards the end of the game, certain revelations come to pass, which I'm sure you'll know.
Yes.
Where I'm just like, I don't really buy it. It seems lazy.
Right.
They do justify it, but it's like, I don't know. I think it seems unnecessarily contrived.
Yeah.
And so, yeah. But overall, the plot is about what you can expect from a JRPG. There's some elements where you are just confusing.
Absolutely.
But again, it's quite ambitious. The characters probably not as strong as other games in the series. A few exceptions. Squall I really like, and
Renoa. Sorry, I mean
Renoa can die in a fire. But
wow,
it's a great cast.
Yeah.
Overall, there's just a few weak links.
Yeah.
And yeah, I can when someone says, "Oh, I really don't like Final Fantasy VIII," I can completely understand.
Yeah, I mean,
even if I don't feel that way myself.
I'm definitely there. Another opinion coming up, so brace yourselves. For me personally, Final Fantasy VIII has my most favourite soundtrack of all Final Fantasies.
Oh, really? You prefer it over 7's?
I do. As great as 7's soundtrack is, FF8...
Good job I was sitting down for this.
Yeah, I know. Are you braced? Are you good? Not going to fall over?
I mean, it's a phenomenal soundtrack.
Oh, man.
It really, really is.
I don't know what Amatsu did with the 8th soundtrack, but Jesus Christ. There are some bangers in there for me.
Yeah, there's some really, really good bits of music in it. I mean, obviously, pretty much every Final Fantasy has a fantastic soundtrack.
Yeah, and I can't fault them.
Or anyone else composing it, but I would say, especially the PS1 trilogy and Final Fantasy X, actually, I love putting that in as well.
Yes.
Those soundtracks are pretty consistently fantastic across the board.
And you can probably tell, I don't know if you can tell how salty I was in my Final Fantasy X playthrough towards the end, because I picked the wrong soundtrack.
Well, I mean, the newer one is still good, but...
Yeah, of course. But I was so
Certain tracks do
excited.
sound different.
I was so excited to hear the Seymour battle theme. I was like, guys, this is like the best theme ever. Like, turn your headphones up for this. And I was like, wait a second, it sounds very different. I'm like, what have I done here?
Yeah.
So, yeah, if you've never checked that out, the Seymour battle theme. Oh my god, what a banger.
Really good.
So, we go back again. So you would have played Final Fantasy VII next, I'm guessing.
I did, yeah. I mean, I didn't go completely linearly through the games, but I did go from 9 to 8 to 7.
Yes.
And 7 was just such an experience. I still remember playing it on, it was one of my birthdays. I got it. And the intro is iconic.
Of course.
And the opening bombing mission is just whoa.
Yes.
But I remember looking at the graphics, going from Final Fantasy 9 and 8, and then you play 7, and you're like, wow.
Now I see.
This is starting to look a little bit old now.
Yeah.
Even back in 2002 when I first played it.
Yeah.
I was like, damn, this is what it looked like, really? Okay.
Absolutely.
But again, it had such a unique identity to it and charm.
Yes,
and it's incredibly memorable.
And I think for me, I can still say that now because, I know there's certain people out there, again, who are solely graphics based. If the game doesn't look good, I'm not playing it. Mm-hmm. But I can, yes, all right, Final Fantasy VII, the original, yeah, we all know it hasn't aged that well. There's elements to it that are still, like for instance, the pre-rendered backgrounds. I will never ever get bored of those.
They should really remake it. They should. A Final Fantasy VII remake could sell really well.
I think they should. It's about time. Yeah.
Can you imagine what it looked like with PS5 graphics?
Right. We can dream, right?
Yeah, right.
Pre-rendered backgrounds I still think hold up for me personally. The character models, okay, yeah, we still, Cloud looks like a Lego man, but for me, I look back at it and I go, man, this is charming. This is very charming for me.
Yeah, I mean, I have a soft spot for retro games. I think I can understand younger people not liking it, or
right?
Not really giving it a chance. That's fine, but I can still appreciate it.
Yeah. So, I mean, I've told this story before. You've probably heard me tell it before. But Final Fantasy VII, if you didn't know, is my favorite in the series. Shocker.
What?
Yeah. I hope you were sitting down for that.
Oh my god. I thought it was Final Fantasy II. I thought you loved Final Fantasy II.
I haven't played that one yet.
Don't save yourself.
Oh shit! Yeah, it's Final Fantasy II, guys. Final Fantasy VII for me. It started out is a very. The reason the game is special to me and it holds a dear place in my heart is because how I found Final Fantasy VII. It was through my dad, which is really, really cool because my first console as a kid was the Sega Mega Drive. That was my first console as a kid. So I was just used to playing games on that. Streets of Rage, all that kind of stuff. And it was kind of. I think the PS1 came out in 95?
It was 94 or 95.
Yeah. So
I know I didn't get the PS1 until a couple of years later.
Yeah, same as me. Yeah, we didn't. I think my dad must have got his PS1 probably in 90. It might have even been 97. But mate, do you remember Woolworths?
Oh yeah. I used to get the pick and mix all the time.
Oh yeah, that was for us or our local town. That was where they sold PS1 games. So I remember very vividly going down to Woolworths. My dad got his first PS1 and he was like, right, well, I need to get some games, obviously, would make sense. So I think the first games he picked up were Tomb Raider 1, Resident Evil 1, and Final Fantasy VII.
That is one heck of a trilogy.
What? Yeah,
some good gaming right there.
What? Yeah, what a time to be. Again, man, 90s. Just oof.
Yeah.
So. Yeah, Dad didn't know anything about Final Fantasy, just as I didn't. I was 6 years old, so, I was experiencing these games as well for the first time. Although I will say Resident Evil scared the crap out of me as a kid, which is crazy, because when you look at the original Resident Evil now, you're like, I was scared of this.
It's very tame. It's very tame.
I was scared of this as a kid. What's happening? I remember falling in love with Tomb Raider. You know, still to this day, I think Tomb Raider is a fantastic series. Lara, you know, very iconic character.
Yeah.
Very excited for the new game, by the way.
Oh yeah, I mean it'll be a while, but man, can you imagine what it's going to look like in Unreal Engine 5?
Don't. Oh.
So good.
I saw some Unreal Engine 5 footage the other day, and I was like, "This is a video game. Like, this is video game
incredible.
footage."
It's. I can't wait for more games to start using it.
Oh, good old PS5. I'm so glad I've got one now.
Yeah.
But yeah, back on track. So, yeah, get the games from Woolworths. We come home, and I'm pretty sure my dad was even blown away by Final Fantasy VII because, again, I know Final Fantasy VIII, 9, they were both 4 discs. 7 was 3, but I think that's plainly because disc 1 of FF7 was the longest disc to start with.
Yeah, I for some reason I remember having this memory that disc 1 ends when you leave Midgar, and and it's like no, there's a lot more than that.
That's only 6 hours of gameplay, Mage.
Yeah, shit. It used to take me a lot longer than that to get through it as a kid, though. My God.
So yeah, 3 discs. And I remember my dad just, you know, starting this game up, and my 6-year-old brain was just like, you know, for back in the day, Final Fantasy VII looked good. You know,
I mean, that's the thing. Yeah, if you played it back in '97, I mean, yeah, the character models in outside of battle probably still looked a little bit dated compared to what was out at the time.
Of course.
But in battle and just the world itself, like wow. And the fact that it was the first 3D Final Fantasy as well. If you'd played the other ones first, the leap from 6 to 7 is incredible. Like,
of course, because they'd gone.
Holy crap!
They had gone right from Nintendo and I mean SquareSoft at the time.
Yeah.
Had switched over to the Sony PlayStation, so it was a big leap for them.
Yeah, huge difference.
But I think they they obviously pulled it off. Final Fantasy VII, you know, being the most.
I mean, it sold a few copies, I suppose.
Yeah, you know, a few spin-offs here and there. But holy crap, yeah, my 6-year-old brain, it melted. I was just blown away. Cloud very quickly, and at 30 years old is my all-time favorite video game character.
Still bloody cool, isn't he? I mean, the hair and the sword, just very, very iconic.
It just stood out to me. Yeah, Final Fantasy VII. Again, I did never beat it as a kid ever. I for some reason, I don't know why. I don't know about you, Mage, but as a kid, I would play through certain Final Fantasies. I'd get to a certain point, but I'd get stuck.
Okay.
And instead of trying to, like, you know, level up, which back then I was a kid, so I was like, oh, I can't be bothered with that.
Oh, okay.
I would just restart the games over and over again. So I think that's why it took me so long to actually beat a Final Fantasy. By the time I got to my teens,
I was kind of the opposite, where I would grind and grind and grind, so I could absolutely destroy everything. So yeah, I put a lot of hours into the games, but mostly just killing the same enemies over and over and over.
Right. But what I think, when I did beat Final Fantasy, I didn't do it alone. Back when we were kids, I had a friend who lived opposite me. He doesn't live there anymore.
You had a friend?
I had a friend, Mage. Which is, you know, down south is kind of...
Well, yeah,
never heard of.
Down south is miserable.
Yeah.
So, I mean, you did well. You did well.
I remember, you know, we used to play a lot of games together, and he was like, there was this particular day, he was like, I'm really bored, like, what should we do? And I said, I've got a game indoors you might like. And he was like, oh, what is it? I said, oh, it's Final Fantasy VII. He was like, oh, I've never heard of it. He was like, what's it like? I was like, oh, it's a JRPG, you know, you use swords, you got magic and all this kind of stuff. And I just remember him saying to me, go and get it. So I was like, yes, okay. So I ran back to my house, I grabbed the game, I showed him, and he was like, why is it on 3 discs? And I was like, because it's a big game.
It's bloody huge.
It's massive, mate. And he was instantly, that's it, he was a Final Fantasy fan from that game. From then on, he played 9, 10, 12. So yeah, that was heartwarming to me to get a friend into Final Fantasy.
Yeah, I mean, it was kind of the opposite for me. A friend got me into it.
Yeah.
And that was really the only friend I had for a very long time that was into Final Fantasy. A lot of my other friends just weren't at all bothered about it. And they would even make fun of us for playing it in like a jokey way.
Yeah, yeah.
So yeah, I didn't really have too many people to like share that passion with until YouTube became a thing.
Of course, yeah.
So yeah, it's cool that you managed to infect someone else.
Yeah, I can't praise this series enough. It's done so much for me in my life, for good and bad. I'm glad Final Fantasy exists. Let's just put it that way.
Same. Yeah, I mean, there's certain games and certain things in your life that you come across, you know, even if it's a movie or whatever, or a song, you know, it has that impact on you, and you feel that without it, you would have been a very different person.
Right. You know? Yeah. Talking of movies, Mage,
go for it.
What is your opinion on Final Fantasy VII Advent Children?
It's a movie.
Yeah.
It is. Visually, I mean, I haven't watched it in a long time, but I remember when it first came out. I remember, because it was like 2006, I think it was.
It was, yes, 2006.
I got it on DVD, and I remember watching it in my attic with a couple of friends who had never played any Final Fantasy before.
Right.
And I was just, you know, so hyped to watch it, and we all watched it together. And I think I about understood it as much as they did.
What is going on here?
Yeah, it's one that you have to really watch a couple of times, I think, to fully get it.
Right.
Well, you could just watch it like they did, purely on a visual sort of standpoint, where you're just there for the action, and boy, was the action amazing.
Oh,
Holy crap.
Yeah, absolutely.
Fantastic fight scenes. And the ending sequence with Cloud and Sephi going at it with One Winged Angel, just goosebumps every time. So yeah, I have a lot of love for it. I would not say it's a particularly easy or well-told story, but I definitely would say it's worthy of the Final Fantasy VII name. You know?
Right, yeah. Because I believe Advent Children is set 2 years after the game.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah. So maybe
honestly, I need to rewatch it.
I did recently. I'd probably say about a month ago. I thought, you know what, I'm gonna stick this on and watch it. And I even now I really enjoyed it. So
yeah, I need to get it on the old 4K Blu-ray. I bet.
Mate, yeah, on your telly, Jesus Christ, that would look lovely.
Yeah.
Okay, so yeah, we've kind of gone through where you started with, you know, Final Fantasy, where I started, and how it all. Where did you go from there? Did you go to 6, or did you?
I then went to 4 because I went into Tesco's and they were still selling PS1 games. They had the Final Fantasy Anthology.
Yes, I actually got this as well.
Which included 4 and 5. In America, the Anthology included 5 and 6.
Oh, okay.
Which is, I always get comments whenever I like on my recent Final Fantasy V series when I say that I played, or it was 4 or whatever, you know, that it came with 4 and 5, and Americans are always like, actually, it was 5 and 6.
Yeah.
Like, not over here, pal. But anyway, yeah. So I went with 4. I played that, and then I played a little bit of. I never finished 5. And I'm hopefully going to do that this year.
Yes.
But,
so far,
yeah, I liked both of them, but for some reason 4 grabbed me a bit more, and I played a lot of 4, and then I think I got 6.
Because I've played 4. Again, I played while watching your playthrough as well. I'm pretty sure with 4 I got right to the end, but I got stuck somewhere. I just kept dying.
Yeah, the ending of 4 is pretty tough, actually.
And I was playing the PSP version. That's the version I was playing, so...
yeah, that's my favourite version.
Yeah,
Love that version.
on my actual PSP, or PS Vita, sorry. But yeah, I got stuck. So I've not technically beaten 4 yet, but I will say I can understand why 4... I understand why people like 4. I've heard a lot of people talk about 4 as well, which is surprising. The only Final Fantasy that I'm surprised people don't talk that much about is actually 5.
Yeah.
And I kind of wanted to understand, even though I haven't played 5 myself, but I couldn't help but watch your playthrough, Mage. So
Oh, cheers.
But through watching that, I've like, I understand now. I'm like, why doesn't Final Fantasy V get spoken about?
Is so underrated. 5, I mean, again, I haven't beaten it. I always got really close, and for some reason, I think a part of me didn't want to finish it. I don't know why. I was just like, but I like the mystery of not knowing what actually happens. But yeah, 5 with the job system, it's so replayable and so many different ways you can play it. The characters are charming. It's got a lot of humor in it compared to 4, especially.
That I have noticed so far.
4 was quite dark and quite serious most of the time. 5 is a different direction altogether.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, I'm loving going through it again at the moment.
Yeah, it's honestly, man, I've been having a ton of fun watching you play. So much so that I've been so busy. Like you say, we're all so busy. I think I've got like 13 videos to catch up on with Final Fantasy
Oh
V.
yeah.
So there's a lot there for me to check out, which I can't wait to dive back in. And again, I was tempted to just not watch it because again, I haven't played Final Fantasy V, but I needed to see why Final Fantasy V was, you know, why people don't talk about it, and they should talk about Final Fantasy V.
Final Fantasy V needs more love.
Yeah,
it absolutely does.
Talk about it more. So let's jump to 6 then. Final Fantasy VI.
6.
I've definitely played. I have played 6. I've never beaten it though. I've only ever got so far.
Can you remember how far you've got?
Oh God.
Because 6 is, it feels long the first time you play through it, and then when you play through it a second time, you're like, wow, it's actually, I got through this really quickly. There isn't as much as I thought there was. At least that was my experience anyway.
Well, spoilers for anyone who hasn't played Final Fantasy VI, sorry, but obviously we're going to be talking about this stuff.
Yes.
So,
yes.
If I cast my mind back, because I haven't played 6 in a very, very long time, I know I got to the part where Kefka, you know, completely destroys the world, basically, and then you come in as...
So you got to the world of ruin, basically.
Yes, I got probably as far as that, maybe a little bit further, but again, it's been so long, I generally can't remember, but yeah, I've never beaten 6. Again, guys, you know, like Mage, I will eventually be doing most Final Fantasies on the channel, but they are very long games, so
they are.
They're going to take a while. But yeah, I'm kind of excited to do 6 because I know
6 is like, I think, along with 7, widely regarded as the best one.
Right.
I don't share that opinion, but I absolutely can understand why people do love it as much as they do. It's brilliant. It is really, really good. I just feel... I don't want to say the word overrated, because it really isn't.
Right, yeah.
For me, though, I think I prefer a lot of other Final Fantasies over 6.
Okay.
And that's just my opinion.
Yeah.
But it's still phenomenal. I mean, just the music alone probably gives it the edge with Terra's theme. I mean, it gives me goosebumps every time, and it's just a very different game compared to 4 and 5 again. And that's what I like about Final Fantasy. It always seems to feel different.
Yes.
And yet familiar.
Right.
You know, they're always doing new things, changing systems up, you know. And yeah, 6 was... I mean, I remember getting up at like 4 in the morning to play it before school.
Oh,
so it's
I
not
remember
like
this
like
story.
6. Yeah.
Yeah.
I would have to be up at about 7 to get ready for school, but I would be up at 4, and I would just play it in the living room before anyone else woke up.
Oh, I love that. I love that.
Yeah, so I do. I love 6. I just think that I would place other games above it, personally.
So yeah, I don't know if you ever did this as a kid as well, but I was a bit naughty, and I would, you know, when it was bedtime, I would be like, yeah, sure, I'm going to bed now. I would turn the TV right down.
Oh, yeah.
And I would carry on playing, you know, Final Fantasy VII or whatever.
Yep. Yeah. I mean, I assume you were... Did you have a TV in your room?
Oh, of course I did. Of course I did.
Yeah, I had a little tiny CRT on a little, arm coming out of the wall.
Yeah.
Just above my bed. And Yeah, I probably stayed up way too late playing all sorts on my bunk bed and just. Oh, those were the days. Those were the days.
You remember bunk beds? How cool were bunk beds?
I do.
Damn.
I still remember the feeling of smacking your head on the ceiling.
Yes. Yeah.
When you're climbing into them or just waking up.
Yeah, I don't miss those days.
No.
Okay, cool. So, damn, so much Final Fantasy to cover. But I'm enjoying this so far. It's been fun.
Yeah, no, I mean, I've always loved talking about Final Fantasy and, games in general.
Right, where do we go from here? I mean, because obviously we played these games at different times.
Yeah.
So, okay, let's go back to 10. You played 10. Then we find out, hey, Final Fantasy X's getting a sequel.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I mean, that was... I suppose, for me, it wasn't so strange, because I wasn't super versed in Final Fantasy at the time.
Yeah.
I'd played a few, but I was still, relatively new to the series. But I didn't really understand the significance of there being a direct sequel for the first time.
Right.
And that was a pretty big deal. That was a pretty big deal.
It was for the time, yeah.
And since it was sequel to 10, which was the first one I played, I was, of course, incredibly excited to see what else they were going to do in that world with those characters. And then we got 10-2, which was quite something. Yes. Now, another one that I think you either love or you hate.
Yeah. What's your opinion? What do you?
I
like?
love it.
Yeah.
I absolutely love it.
Yeah, I do.
I can absolutely not take it seriously. I think overall it's more of a light-hearted romp, although it does get pretty dark at times. I think overall it's more just. I just like being in Spira.
Yeah, I love that world.
It's fantastic, and I actually prefer the combat system.
Yes, I hear that a lot.
I prefer the combat system. I prefer the dress spheres. Although I do actually, the sphere grid was really good, but it felt, I don't know, it was just really, it was different again, and more in line with classic Final Fantasies. Although at the time I wasn't really aware. So
yes, of course.
There's a lot to love about 10-2. There's a lot that is not really my taste, but I can still appreciate it.
Yeah, I can see it. Again, me personally, I love Final Fantasy X-2. As much as people, oh, this is the worst game ever, oh, trash, whatever. Again, that's your opinion, and that's fine.
I can absolutely understand why people would feel that way.
Of course.
It's very minigame heavy. The tone is completely different. And that's if you can't get past those things, then that's fine. For me, it was never really an issue.
But I think what's good about that is you can totally play Final Fantasy X and not even have to worry about 10-2. You could just 10 was the only game. Yeah.
10 absolutely stands on its own. 10-2 is harder to play without knowing the events of 10.
Yes.
But you can still do it. You just won't be nearly as invested in whatever story there is. But, it's still a fun game to play.
And funny enough, I only recently, I'd say about maybe a year or 2 years ago, I actually finished 10-2 for the very first time. And I was proud of myself.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. I was proud of myself because...
Can you remember what percentage you got?
Oh, God, it was not... it wasn't 100. Let's put it that way.
You didn't 100% it?
No. I had to look up the secret ending because there's no way that I was ever going to get 100%.
I've come very close to 100%ing it, but I don't think I ever managed it as a kid.
But do you want a fun fact, Mage?
Go for it.
Final Fantasy X-2 was the first...
Square Enix game?
No, it's the first game that I ever spoke to you for the first time. You were streaming.
Oh, really?
Yes, you were streaming.
Oh, yeah.
Final Fantasy X-2.
I did stream some 10-2, didn't I? Years ago.
I was like, oh, this is the first time I'm going to be able to catch a mage stream. So I came in, and it was the first time I ever said hi, hello.
And you were so disappointed.
Yeah, I was like, oh no, this isn't the mage that I thought he was.
Shit, he's a bastard. Yeah.
Oh no, he is actually Northern.
I am very, I am.
No, it was a delight, man, and you know, I'll always remember that, and you know, here we are today in
Well,
2022.
I'm glad you enjoyed it.
And I can proudly call you a friend now, which is, you know, I said one day I'm gonna be friends with this guy, and here we are. He likes Final Fantasy. He's
I
gonna be a
do.
friend.
I
So
do.
yeah, I'll always cherish that. I'll always remember that. So here's an interesting one. Final Fantasy XI. I can't, you know, I have no.
You have no real experience with 11, do you?
No, I've never played it. Never played it.
No.
Um,
I have a lot of experience with 11, although admittedly not in recent years.
yes.
But when I first sort of heard about it, because it came out, I think, not too long after 10 did.
Right.
And I think it came out before 10 too. But I didn't get it immediately because I think it may have come out in Europe later than Japan and all that stuff.
Yeah, because Final Fantasy XII was 2006, right?
Yeah. And boy, do I remember looking forward to that one.
We'll
But
get to that.
Yeah, we will. 11, I tried to get it from America because I wanted to play it sooner.
Yeah,
but-
so, Mage, I know exactly what you're going to say now. Please
Yeah.
tell everybody the issues that you had with
So
playing Final Fantasy XI.
I was not aware of different. Well, I was aware of different regions, but for some reason I thought, you know what, it might work. I ordered Final Fantasy XI on PS2 from America.
Yes.
And so, you know, thinking, oh, I'll be able to play it online on my PS2, and oh, it's gonna be amazing. It's my first MMO. Being able to play Final Fantasy with other people just sounded fucking incredible.
Yeah, at the time, I can imagine.
Yeah, and so I was like, oh, I'm so hyped. So I ordered it, and well, my parents did, and we put it in the PS2, and lo and behold, oh, it doesn't work.
Oh no!
Why is it not working? Oh well, it's not the right region. You need
silly Mage.
Yeah, you need to use an American PS2 or have it chipped. So my parents were like, well, we know you like it Final Fantasy so much. They got me an American a chipped PS2,
Okay.
silver, that could play American games.
Nice.
And so the disc worked.
Wait, there we go.
Oh, we're getting there.
We're getting there.
But then it's like, well, it's an online game, so you know the network adapter on the PS2 has to be plugged in and all that stuff. So like, okay, cool, we've got it.
Okay.
Plug that in. And just
no.
wouldn't work. We tried everything. And I was crushed. I was absolutely distraught.
You must have been a teen at this point, right?
I think I was about 12 or 13.
Yeah.
So
I can only imagine the look on your face.
I was devastated.
Yeah.
However, I did get a PS2 out of it that could play American games, which would come into play later.
Yeah.
I was still like, damn, I can't play it. So eventually it came out over here on PC, and I would play it on my mum's laptop instead.
I've heard about this. Yes, the laptop, Mage. Why don't you explain, Mage, what happened with the laptop?
It was my mum's personal laptop.
Yeah.
That she also used for work at the time occasionally, but pretty much she would be like away during the day at work. So, say it was like the summer holidays.
Yeah.
I would have access to the laptop, and it would be plugged in her bedroom, so I would sit on a little stool at the end of her bed, playing Final Fantasy XI for many, 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 many hours.
Like you do.
On a crappy laptop with a little touchpad mouse that is not ideal for MMOs, let me tell you.
Yeah.
But it was all I had, so I made it work.
Work with what you got, buddy.
Yeah, I cannot stress enough how many hours I did lose to that game, but all of them were just fantastic, and it was a different kind of game. I'd never played an online game before, and so it was a lot of learning involved.
Well, of course, yeah. Coming from Final Fantasy X, of course, it's a completely new battle system.
Completely different ball game. And just using a computer to game as well, because I hadn't really done that much.
Right, yeah.
So, you know, installing files, all that kind of crap, I had to just kind of learn.
As a 13-year-old.
Yeah, and just kind of wing it.
Yeah.
And but honestly, some of the best gaming memories I have. It was fantastic.
I love that, man. That's a cool story. That's really cool.
Yeah.
So, I mean, did you have any online friends with Final Fantasy 11, or was it just kind of you just...
I did. I got into what they called a Link Pearl, which is basically like a chat group guild kind of thing.
Okay.
And I remember talking with quite a few people on there quite a lot, you know, partying up with them, fighting with them, stuff like that. I never really talked to them outside of the game.
Yes.
But there was a nice sense of community within the game.
And what's crazy about Final Fantasy 11 is it's still going in 2022.
It's still going. It's still going. I played it, oh god, is it nearly 2 years ago now?
Yeah, that's mental. That was 2 years ago, mage.
Oh my god. Yeah, so it's still going, and I played it fairly recently and still enjoyed it, even though it is incredibly dated.
Yes.
In a lot of ways.
Which, by the way, I did check out your FF11, because I'm new to 11, so I was like, okay. I knew it was an MMO, but I thought let's check it out. Let's see what it's about. And I enjoyed the the videos you did do on 11. It was a lot of fun.
Thank you, man.
But yeah, again, for 11 to still be going in 2022 is insane. We'll get to Final Fantasy 14, but I can only imagine how long 14 could go on for.
Oh yeah, I mean that's Christ, that's actually, I mean if you take into account 1.0.
Yeah.
14, that's 12 years old now.
Yeah.
So I could see it going for at least another 12, if not longer.
Yeah, absolutely.
One thing I will say, Jay, I've got to quickly go collect a parcel. So do we want to just do a little pause in the video or something while I go get it?
Yeah, of course we can. Well, I'll tell you what we could do. We could kind of break this up if you want. We could break it up into 1 or 2 videos.
Yeah, I mean, edit it whatever way you want to do it, pal. Yeah, it's just I've got to.
Yeah, you go do that, buddy. That's
I've got to give the dude a password or something, otherwise he won't give me the parcel. So
yeah, no worries.
I will be right back.
You got it.